Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Corner Office Chronicles podcast. My name is Byron Benton, and I am your host. Today, I have a special guest, Aman Kanjanji. He is an AI expert. He's going to tell us a lot about AI, which I'm interested in knowing more about as well. I know a little bit about it, or quite a good bit about it, but I'm not an expert. So we have an expert here, Aman Kanjanji. How are you doing today, sir?
Wonderful, and thank you so much. Always happy to kind of interact with people, share whatever little knowledge I have, and I'm most happy when I kind of add some sort of value.
Okay. Well, we mentioned earlier, last time we talked, giving is the gift that keeps on giving. So we have a lot to talk about today. Let's talk about AI a little bit.
Sure.
How would you define artificial intelligence in your words?
In the most elementary form, AI is nothing but the very fact that systems, machines, etc., is what we believe can learn by themselves, the way we do, right? So let's look at it in a way where we have the bigger universe, which is AI, and AI has the capability to learn the way we do as human beings. As an example, in school, in kindergarten, say for example, or the first grade, we were taught 1 plus 1. Did anyone teach us 100 plus 100? No. How did we learn? By our own intelligence. And that is precisely what AI does. It learns its learning by itself using a lot of pre-trained uh, models that we look at it.
Okay, okay. Now, AI to some it seems like something that just popped up on us, but I think anything that gets popular, if people haven't heard of it, all of a sudden it seems like it's just popped up on the scene, but really it's been around for a while. So how do you think AI has changed in the last, let's say, 5 years?
Over the last 5 years, if I consider it, it's kind of seen an exponential growth. The very fact is, AI hasn't been just since 5 years. A lot of participants would be very surprised. Even I was when I did some reading on it, that we have had early foundations way back in the 40s and 50s, and
Hmm.
then we saw gradual progress. There were a lot of failures, of course, and we all learn by failures. And it just kept improving all the while. Um, the first big success for ML. Now, before I get into ML, let me tell you that AI is the bigger universe. A subset of AI happens to be machine learning, where machines and systems also have the capability to learn by themselves, improvise.
Mhm.
IBM's Big Blue in 19 maybe 90s, some point of time in 90s, uh, won against the then reigning Grandmaster Gary Kasparov in a game of chess. And that was one of the biggest achievement for machine learning. So that was a time. Gradually, we have been kind of seeing a lot of things related to data and how do we manage data, etc. We do a lot of analysis based on data, typically what we call as big data,
Mhm.
huge amounts of data.
Mhm.
Over the last couple of years, as I said, it's kind of really taken off because we depend on these systems to build newer systems.
Mhm.
So there will be a faster growth in the coming years.
Okay, okay. So that's the biggest difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Yeah, the big difference is AI is all got to do with the way we think, whereas the capability which machines and systems have to learn by themselves is all about machine learning. So, say for example, we might call maybe an autonomous car, right? It's machine learning. It learns, it understands by way of cameras whether there is a kind of maybe there is a human being on the road and then it has to stop, or maybe there could be some maybe a stone or something on the road. So it understands the difference between a human being and a stone, that this is a time when I need to stop, or maybe I can just continue.
Okay, okay. So we speak about artificial intelligence, and with that, there are tons of different websites now. But the one that seems like it's the most popular right now is Chat GPT. In fact, I looked it up one time. I think it's Google is still the most popular search engine, but I think ChatGPT is the third or something. And I predicted to be the first. Tell us more about ChatGPT. What do you think about it?
Well, so usually what happens is the first mover advantage is what we usually have seen over the years. So, say, for example, when we talk about going back to the 1900s and we talk about the development of the automobile, and the first name comes to mind is Ford, first mover advantage. Likewise, the moment we talk about AI, and because OpenAI as an organization was the first to introduce ChatGPT by far for regular use, I would say.
Hmm.
Many companies have been working on it, but by far and large, because OpenAI has kind of introduced it for common use, we associate generative AI as ChatGPT or ChatGPT as generative AI. That is the way. There are a lot of tools already available. And by far, because ChatGPT was first in the market,
Hmm.
we associate it with generative AI.
Yeah, yeah. And so you spoke, I mean, you spoke a lot. You spoke about automotive and things of that nature. Do you think that artificial intelligence is gonna and machine learning is gonna play a big part in our machines as well, such as let's say Teslas or maybe even car makers that we don't know about now? How do you think it's gonna affect that particular industry?
Certainly, not just automotive industry. It is going to touch each and every industry that we can think about today, and maybe those industries which are at the moment non-existent. When I talk of non-existent industries, there are so many industries. So earlier, just as an example, earlier in terms of any sort of a distribution, we had a brick and mortar store. So we wanted to buy a book.
Wow.
It had to be a brick and mortar. Then came up e-commerce. It was
Mhm.
unheard of. So a lot of times participants ask me like, how can there be an industry which is non-existent? This is the way. So from brick and mortar, we move to e-commerce. And now from e-commerce, we move to Q-commerce. And what is Q-commerce? That's quick
Yeah.
commerce. So we order groceries, at least in India, we order
Oh,
groceries. We get it within 10 minutes, 15 minutes delivered to our doorstep.
oh wow.
Q-commerce,
Oh
right?
wow. Wow. Wow.
So that is the way it's happening today. Say, for example, as of yesterday, if somebody had to kind of record something, we had the usual the camera, sorry, not the web camera, the regular video cameras. Today, that day has gone. And today we are talking about drone photography and drone videography. So a completely new industry has emerged, which was not present.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you, artificial intelligence in general, do you think it's more helpful or hurtful in today's?
Oh, well, wonderful question. It's just like two sides of the same coin. Depends on how we use it. And just not for AI, it is for any system for that matter, computers for that matter, mobile phones for that matter. How are we using them? So a mobile phone, while it can be used for good things, as in so many things, let's not get into but maps and yep, emails and so on and so forth. The idea is getting hooked onto a mobile phone, getting addicted to it is the negative side. Now, AI also has a positive today and a negative. The positive, we all know. We want information, we get exactly that information which we get. Not just that, it generates images, video, music, what have you, everything. The negative part is let's go back and some point of time I had mentioned about training them. So it's not like AI learns by itself. We use something known as LLMs, large language models,
Oh,
where what we do is we train these models, and based on that models, it learns the next steps.
hmm,
Now, say for example, we give it an incorrect input.
mhm.
It will learn all the wrong things. As
Oh,
a child, say for example, we teach the child 1 plus 1 is 2, which is good enough. But assuming the input going to the child is 1 plus 1 is 3, the
right.
child is going to learn things incorrectly. And this is where a lot of things related to bias comes in. Ethical, whether it's ethical or not ethical. So a lot of inputs go into AI and we teach it the wrong things, assuming it is a kind of maybe related to maybe political aspects. The output, when we search for it, will be all biased because incorrect input biased input has gone in, biased input will be out, and our minds will get biased towards it.
Okay.
So these could be the initial challenges which we see.
Wow, you know a lot about artificial intelligence. And that's why we on the call today. You know so much about artificial intelligence. Let me ask you, how does artificial intelligence affect us in ways that we don't even know? The first thing that comes to my mind is, let's say, Amazon. When you look at a book, and next thing you know, you get similar type books. Or the same with Netflix, Hulu. You look at a particular movie, and all of a sudden you see similar movies. In your opinion, and that might be your opinion as well. I think that's the most prevalent um, example. But what do you think? Artificial intelligence, how is it impacting us right now in ways that we don't even know?
Uh, there are there are ways by which it does our job better, quicker. Where does it help us? So anything that is repetitive, it will do it better. It will do it faster. Just the way we go back to the days of the early days of the computer, and computers, what they were doing is they ended up doing the repetitive tasks very fine. So here, what we have is all the things that we do on a repetitive basis, it can do it. Not just that, it now extends into automation. So, because AI is able to read, understand, and analyze what has been written, say, for example, what I could do is I can take it to the next level and integrate AI with emails,
Mm,
as an example. So, assuming there is a standard response, a customer maybe is upset for some services, etc. If there is an integration, it understands and sends an auto response to the client saying that, well, I only understand the kind of challenges. I am associating this particular challenge with this particular problem, and I'm going to assign a rep or a customer service agent who is going to revert with the details, etc. So what happens is the routine work that we do is taken up by this, and then somebody's assigned, because by far many of the things that we do not require a great deal of human intelligence. It is all based on standard things that we kind of do. So
mhm,
is able to do it well. As an example, it reads all the calendar, all the birth dates and calendar and anniversaries on my calendar and sends out an auto response to my friends, family, etc.
mhm,
Right? It can do that. Well, the argument could be that it's going to take us away from each other as human beings.
mhm.
But just for the sake of understanding of what are the capabilities, yes, it can do all this. And there are a lot of tools which can integrate with AI together and work in tandem.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. With that being said, so we spoke about the present tense of AI. What do you predict about the future of AI? What do you think it'll look like?
AI will get into many, many other aspects of our daily lives. It will become more intrusive. Even today, there is a good amount of intrusion. Say, for example, um, for that matter, if right, I ask you, like, what is your current heartbeat? What's your pulse right now? You will not know.
All right.
But if you're wearing a smart watch
Yeah.
and maybe connected to, oh, yeah, 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 of course,
Have one
the
smart one.
system, then that is AI. It is knowing your pulse right now, where you yourself are not knowing that. Your resting heart rate, it doesn't know that, right? So what happens is there will be these aspects which AI knows more about us than we know about ourselves. So that is just the surface of the intrusion. By far, it'll get more intrusive, which is why it's kind of again the two sides where we have to be very careful. Second is it'll kind of get into aspects which we can't even think today. Well, some of the good part of that is it can save lives. And
Mhm,
for those who are kind of interested, might want to check off how maybe kind of an Apple Watch saved somebody's life.
mhm,
And this particular person maybe met with an accident or met with, I mean, accident is not, maybe just fell. And the watch sent a message as an SOS or a 911 in the United States saying that the location, etc., etc. It realized that the person has fallen and then there is no movement after that. which
Hmm.
means probably the person was unconscious. And this is printed material,
Yeah.
real. It sends a message to 911,
Mhm.
911 sends the emergency services, and the person is saved.
Yeah.
So these are ways in which we can't imagine where AI could help us. But well, with positive always comes negative.
What do you think? Some of the negatives with that being intrusive, being intrusive.
Yes, it's already happening. So, say for example, your financial data, your financial is our financial data, health records, right?
Wow.
The number of scams that we see which are happening, right? There could be, what if there is a system which hacks into an AI system and acts as if it's a real human being and replicates everything? It can really get into your bank and withdraw all the funds which you have, or maybe go ahead and maybe sell your stocks.
Wow.
We can't even imagine what's kind of happening today. And these are real life things which are happening. Voice cloning, for that matter.
Mhm.
People getting a call saying that, oh, your maybe family member has kind of met with an accident, etc., etc., and then their family member, the so-called family member, is put onto call, and the voice is cloned and say, okay, send us so many uh, dollars, whatever, right? Because we're going to manage the hospitalization, etc. And everything is fake. The
Mhm.
face itself is fake.
Mm.
So literally the cloning, and which is already happening.
Ah.
So we have to ensure that we put in our systems. As an example, what do we do? What is suggested now is every member, and this is going to be important, every member of the family have their own secret word. So if you and I are part of family and assuming we get a call, we'll immediately panic. But instead of that, if we have a secret code amongst ourselves, you and I, and that secret word could be, say, for example, water bottle, and assuming you get a call and you say, okay, so I'm talking to you, Brian. You said, yeah. And I said, okay. Now I may not realize it's not you. I said, okay, so what's the secret code? And you say, which secret code? I know probably the call is fake.
That's true.
So we first ask for a secret code. It's like a fingerprint, which
Yeah.
only the family members know.
So I think, even in my opinion, for even listening to you, I think, in the question I asked, is it helpful or hurtful? I think that it really depends on whose hands it in. If it gets to hackers and things of that nature, they can use it too. But if it gets to the right hand, it could definitely be a benefit. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a total different industry set for security of AI in the very future. So let me ask you, um, job seekers always say, well, AI, hurting or in some cases helping. How do you think AI is going to affect the current job market? How is it affecting the current job market, and how you think it'll affect job seekers in the future as well?
So if I go back, I take a moment to go back maybe in the 80s, and there was the scare that computers will be taking our jobs away.
Hmm.
Well, it has to some extent. But if you consider the other way around, computers, overall, IT has added to millions and millions of jobs. And these jobs I'm talking of are the primary jobs where people work with systems or computers,
Hmm.
right? Not to forget about the secondary and the tertiary jobs that are being created. So, say, for example, somebody who is in the IT department is traveling, right? Uh, you get an employment, bus, trains, yep, automobiles, because travel is required. You have construction, etc., to build those large offices. So you have secondary and tertiary employment, right? So this is one. Now, the scare could be real, it could be unreal, the way we look at it. So it is, I believe, that it is not that AI will take away the jobs. It is those who know AI versus those who do not know AI is the difference. So somebody who has the knowledge of AI will probably take away the job of somebody who does not know AI, and which is important for us to know how to learn AI. And talking about learning, is it rocket science? Certainly no. So I hold so many sessions on generative AI.
Mm,
Generative AI is all about unlearning the way we have been interacting with computers, as in writing codes and
mm-hmm,
speaking or interacting the way we do with human beings.
mm-hmm,
This is the difference. So it is so simple, in,
mm-hmm.
but there is a method to which we do it, right? There are ways in which we write prompts, no matter what, right? So that's the way. So
Okay.
I don't think so. It's something about being scared. Well, jobs are being cut. It's a reality. I'm aware of that. The idea is to then scale. Let's go back to talent. Jobs are being. It's a matter of somebody who is the person who's able to change is person who maybe continues.
Okay. Okay. What industries in what industries do you think will be changed first when it comes to AI? At the top of my head, I think of book editors and anything editing when it comes to content. But let's say the way analysis is done, what industries do you think will be affected first, and what industries do you think will be the most affected? If not all, maybe all will. You know.
All will, however, industries where you have a good amount of work that is repetitive work which is being done will
Mhm,
be the ones which will be impacted the most. As an example, on say for example, we have an automotive shop floor. What happens? By far, you have only 1 or 2% manning that entire shop floor, the production line in an automotive. What happens? Robots have taken over that entire production line, right?
mhm,
Why? Because every part is automated with robotics, and which is why the finest amount of, say, maybe welding to be done, it can do it better. Even in places where the human beings cannot see or reach, a robot can do if it is maybe programmed well. So, ditto for AI, where anything which is repetitive will by far that industry will see a lot of changes, AI taking over.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the government. How do you think it'll get involved? How will it regulate AI? Is it possible? You think the government can some kind of way regulate it? Make it more secure? Privacy measures, increase privacy measures. How do you think the government will come in, step in, and change AI?
The government will have a much, much, much larger role to play because now it is not just a matter of human beings. You also have AI. And why so? Primarily, what we're talking about is data. And today, the world revolves around the data. Data is the new oil, as we say, right?
Hmm.
And which is why everybody is after data.
Hmm.
We have already seen that when data gets compromised, it could be financial data, it could be your hospital records, it could be any data for that matter. We have something like ransomware that unless you pay this amount of bitcoins, typically that's a transaction. Bitcoin maybe as just as an example. So the transactions which happen, they ask not in dollars, not in any other thing, but in cryptocurrency.
Hmm.
And when this happens, organizations have to pay up because in the absence of data, the organization would crash. It doesn't know its customers. It doesn't know anything for that matter. So government will have a larger role to play. Already we are seeing even before the Gen AI aspect coming in, governments have already started taking action, not related to AI, but say, for example, in California, we have the CCPA, California Consumer Protection Act. It's all about privacy and personal data protection. Generally, overall, in Europe, it's known as GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation Act. In Singapore, in Philippines, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, you have these laws already in place. In India, also, we have this law, right? So it is imperative that what data we have, we just hold it close rather than maybe sharing with anyone and everyone. There are extremely stringent rules which are in place. Like, say, for example, somebody gives you a pen drive and say, okay, use this pen drive and it's got some amazing movies for free. You do not insert it in your computer because that is the first place maliciousware or malware, as we say, gets into your computer, hacks into your systems,
Maybe.
and compromises the data. So there are extremely stringent rules. Now, with AI, these rules will require to get extended to accommodate the do's and don'ts of artificial intelligence.
Okay. All right. Hey, made perfect sense to me. I think it's an interesting topic. The government get involved, but I think it will the same way the government's going to get involved with crypto eventually. Uh, do you believe there'll be a future where AI and humans collaborate seamlessly, or do you think AI will always just be a tool that humans use?
Our future, we do not know how future is going to pan out, but yes, there could be a time when humans and AI work together in tandem, work towards maybe betterment of the human society itself overall, working towards maybe the big issue of the climate issues which all of us are facing, working towards issues related to diseases, ailments, etc. So there is always a good thing which we can always work towards with AI. As a matter of fact, even today, AI is being used extensively in medicine,
Hmm.
where it can pinpoint a particular aspect where human beings are unable to see that, and AI says, "Oh, here is a problem. You need to relook. I think there is a problem which is likely," and this is real.
Okay. I recently looked it up. I think that artificial intelligence is all the rage nowadays. So scientists from the articles I read seem to think that eventually AI robots are going to look at humans as the enemy and eventually get rid of us. Do you think that's possible? Do you think that eventually artificial intelligence or robots eventually will turn on humanity and be the ruler of humanity? Is anything like that possible?
Oh, we really do not know. In a way, it could be a possibility because the way in which AI is able to do things. Let's go back to that example of Gary Kasparov, right? And this was way back in say 1990 or 1987, and it won against the reigning grandmaster, as I said, right? Gary Kasparov in chess. So it's getting better and better, and that we are talking about some 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So today it is by far very sophisticated. And yes, it could possibly, we nobody knows how it works out. But come to think about it, by far and large, it has already captured a part of our brain. If I want to write a poem, I would say, AI, why don't you do this? If I want a script for a Hollywood film, right? AI, why don't you do it?
Mm,
An image, right? So I created an image just to let you know. I mean, I created an image, and these images which we can create may put reality together with something which is not possible or which has not been done. So Tom and Jerry is a reality. Reality as in it's animated characters, but yes, it's there in the world, Tom and Jerry.
mhm,
But Tom and Jerry in India, in an Indian temple, wearing Indian clothes is not reality.
mm.
Indian jewelry is not a reality. So I wrote a prompt saying that I want to see Tom and Jerry wearing Indian traditional clothes, Indian jewelry. I want to see them in a temple. And it put these together.
Okay.
So something which is not there as reality can also become reality, as we kind of see. And this reality is by far literally mesmerizing. And we say, what is this even just possible?
Mhm. Okay. So one time we spoke about the quality of prompts, and eventually, who knows, maybe there be a jobs fair as well. Or I've seen online people buying prompts. What do you think? What do you think certain prompts dictate the quality of information that artificial intelligence tools such as AI provide us?
Yep, there will be many. Now, the idea here is not every AI tool is going to be having an expertise or specialization in every function. The way we look at it, the moment I say maybe a four wheeler could be a truck, it could be a bus, it could be a sedan, right? Each of them has a different function. So they all operate, they have their own specialization. That is number one. Speaking about prompts, there will be specialized prompts which you can learn how to write those prompts. There are a few methods to write those prompts to get a response, the right response, giving it a context or something, giving it a persona that I want you to act like. And for those who are uh, listening to this, here's something interesting which you might do. Prompt one, you might say, I want you to act or tell me how to bake a cake. Very simple. After the response, you can say, I want you to act like a celebrity chef specializing in baking chocolate cakes. You're giving it a persona. Now, tell me the recipe of a cake. See the difference, the output between that two. And you want to compare the output, you don't have to do it manually, eyeballing. You can say, okay, give me the difference in a tabulated way for response one and response two. And it'll give you, and you'll say, oh, wow. Right? This is what I kind of teach of how the persona based or act as a hack, which is there, single shot prompt, few shot prompt, chain of thought prompting. Once we learn that, the response is going to be amazing.
I agree. I definitely agree. Uh, you definitely delved into artificial intelligence more than me. What sparked your interest, and how long have you know, dug deeper to find the nuts and bolts to want to be a expert in it? How what sparked that interest, and how long have you been studying it?
I've been doing it since almost when ChatGPT initially was released. So I said, let me kind of look at it. And one thing I would say is whether it's me or anyone, I don't come with some great amount of smartness or with some great intelligence. What I do is I am at it every day. Practice. And that's
Mhm.
the magic word. Practice every day. Diligently do it. Number
I
one.
agree.
I didn't know all these things. Immense amount of reading. And luckily, my maybe I would say 34 years of experience in IT and consulting sales kind of also gives me that thing about the curiosity of what's really happening in the world of computers, etc. It's
Mhm.
an intrigue every day. And that's how I learn on a daily basis. I read on a daily basis and practice.
Yeah.
So today, I kind of write codes
Hmm.
without, I would repeat the word, without understanding a word of coding. I come from an
Oh,
IT background,
wow.
sales. I get ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or say Google, say Gemini, to write codes for me, which can help solve complex Microsoft Excel problems. Just as an
Oh,
example, it does
wow.
that, right? Or create PowerPoint presentations in a second. So
Mm,
while you're sitting and your boss says, come into the conference room and I want you to present something, between that time and the time you land up in the conference room, your presentation is ready.
wow.
Those kind of things, including animations, including apt images, etc. Everything. You
Oh,
just
wow.
need to know.
Yeah.
And today you don't even have to type it. By far and large, I dictate to a chat GPT saying that, okay, here's an Excel sheet I have this, etc. I want you to do this. It writes a code. I just punch it in and my thing is done.
Wow, wow. So with that being said, do you think they're well, it's definitely going to disrupt engineers now. If Chat GPT could do this, companies could save a lot of money. And that's why, we mentioned and we spoke before, if it'll be more about quality prompts to create
Yes.
code instead of actual coding. It'll be interesting to see how it affects engineers and how we create software, whether it's applications or video games. I'm very intrigued and very excited about the future, personally.
True. There's a lot of behind the scenes which happen, which I'm not including as part of this, and that is the prompt engineering, which also I do, where you go behind the scenes, assuming we are driving a car. All that we know is what we see, the steering, the dashboard, etc. So what I discussed is all about what we see. But there is something behind the scenes, like an engine, how it works. So I work as a prompt engineer, I work behind the scenes and define what it can ask. So, say for example, there are a few words which are banned. Like, say for example, something related to maybe which can lead to a disaster, human created disaster, right? If somebody asks those prompts, it does not give a response. You
Mm.
can try it out with ChatGPT, though I would avoid even typing those words because everything is tracked. Never do that. But there are a few things where if somebody wants to create some issues related to humanity, it will certainly not. And these are behind the scenes which control what it will tell you and what it will not tell you.
Okay, that's more about the ethical side of it as well. So it looks like they put some thought into the ethical side of it as well, which is great. And we can go on and on and on and talk about ChatGPT. I find it very interesting, and you are a very great teacher as well. You know how to uh, relay messages very well when it comes to ChatGPT. So let's say, and we do have to wrap up. Zoom ends in 40 minutes. We did 37 minutes so far. If people want to get in touch with you, how could they do so?
Well, if you permit me, maybe I could just share my screen where they have my contact details. Would that be fine?
Sure, sure, please.
Yeah. Just one moment. You need to give me the permission to share my screen.
How do I? Okay, hold on. What do I do to share? Sure. How would I
No
get permission? Do
worries.
you got the
Okay.
system?
Yeah. All that you need to do is maybe then on LinkedIn, the full name is AMANKHAJANCHI. I repeat, AMANKHAJANCHI. That's my full name. All you need to do is get into LinkedIn and maybe just check me out. I'm based in India. Alternatively, you can contact me at amankhajanchi.com. That's my website, AMANKHAJANCHI. There you would also get my mobile number, my email address, etc. And I'm happy to kind of offer my services, train you, and this is my passion.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I really want to thank you, and I really do mean thank you for joining my
My pleasure.
podcast. You're an expert. You're a very great speaker as well. Like I say, you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to these type things. So thank you very much for joining my podcast today. And even off the record, I want to keep in touch with you definitely. So thank
Certainly.
you
And thank
very
you
much.
so much for getting me onto this podcast. Loved
Yes.
every moment. And I would be more than happy to share any other aspect which I know. Certainly, if it's AI, I'm happy to do it. For me, it's like knowledge is like water. I personally believe that unless it keeps flowing, it gets stale. So if I know something, I'm happy to share it. That's the way I come across.
Wow. I certainly appreciate that, sir.